If you've ever had a reason to fear jumping into the natural waters of Maine, the likely existence of mysterious cryptids is probably why. Ocean or lake, stories of water-dwelling beasts of all kinds have been tales told for centuries and generations. So naturally, we're diving into the research to tell you what you need to know to stay safe on dry land, or, if you're anything like we are, down for some underwater adventure. The Pocomoonshine lake monster goes by a few different names, including the Chain Lake Snake, Poco, and the Chain Lakes Monster. It's said to be 30 to 60 feet long, and when it travels on land, leaves a trail on the ground 3 to 4 feet wide, like an eel or a snake would. The bulk of the body is rarely seen out of the water, but witnesses claim it is best compared to a large snake. Although it was first recorded as being witnessed in the 1880s, the Passamaquoddy legend it's most closely associated with has been around much longer. As a matter of fact, the Passamaquoddy have left drawings of water serpents carved into shale as far back as 3,000 years ago, and they have long held in high regard a legend involving famed Penobscot shaman, Old John Neptune, called the Fight with Willamette. The legendary account puts the great Penobscot shaman, John Neptune, in direct battle with a Micmac chief at a lake the Passamaquoddy call Nassayet, which means muddy from the great fight. During the altercation, Neptune turned himself into a giant horned snail, known by the Passamaquoddy as Willamette, and the Micmac turned himself into a supersized snake, 40 feet long. The battle ensued in the lake, and John Neptune emerged the victor, after which he tied the body of his defeated adversary to a tree beside the lake for all to witness. There have been numerous documented accounts of locals seeing tracks, trails, and remnants of the Pocomoonshine lake monster as it slithered from one nearby lake to the next, and even a couple of potential sightings, but all date back to the late 1800s, and our research has uncovered no sightings more recent or relevant to today's time. Things we think you should know about Poco, the Chain Lakes monster. By all accounts and reports, Poco is not aggressive and will not approach people. Unlike other sea or lake monsters, Poco is not restricted to water. It is known to travel from lake to lake within the Chain Lakes region by way of land. Its body may be most easily described as snake-like, but when it moves on land it moves more like an inchworm than a snake. Poco's skin is also somewhat snake-like, a darkish olive green in color, but it has no scales, and it glistens with a sort of oily rainbow tint when the sun hits it just right. Tracks left by Poco have offered evidence suggesting it has flippers for feet. These flippers help Poco inch along on land and ice, but it also gives it high maneuverability in the water. Poco is known by the locals to be a gentle giant, a toothless and harmless legend of Maine's Washington County, which has guarded the waters of the Chain Lakes region for centuries and has never brought harm to any person or animal in its documented history. If you should encounter Poco, the Chain Lakes monster, we hope you can come away with some photographic evidence, or better yet, some video. And if you do, we'd love to hear from you. Our theories about Poco, the Pocomoonshine lake monster. Poco could be a tall tale told by backwoods residents hoping to scare away people looking to move their families or businesses into the area. It's happened plenty of times in the past with other legends, and since Poco seems to have disappeared altogether after its initial and very brief appearance in Washington County's oral history, we suppose this theory is a quite plausible one. Poco could have been a real, living, breathing, biological organism of some sort, which people did witness and which did leave tracks of its presence. And it could have died, which would explain why there have been no witness accounts more recent than the late 1800s. Based on its description by witnesses, and by the tracks it's been said to have left behind, Poco could be a plesiosaur like Nessie, the Loch Ness Monster, or Champ of Lake Champlain here in the US are thought to be. What's more interesting about this theory is that it was explained back in the 1800s as resembling modern-day Nessie and Champ descriptions by people who were, by all reasonable accounts, very likely unaware of the existence of Nessie or Champ. Poco could have disappeared from our historic memory but still be alive today, remaining solitary and elusive just as Nessie and Champ are thought to be today. The fact that Poco calls a sparsely populated area of Maine home makes this theory even more plausible. If there are not many possibilities for witnesses to see Poco, it stands to reason there will be less opportunity for Poco to be seen.